Good evening, everybody.
What's up?
What's up? How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good, man.
How you doing, Logan?
Man, I'm ready. I'm fired up.
Yet another scintillating episode of Reverent and Rebellious.
Oh, yeah.
I thought we would do this one like live in a tattoo parlor.
We needed to.
Yep.
Yeah.
We needed to. This is our, I don't know, fourth or fifth or sixth taboo episode.
I think it's the fifth.
It might be. It might be.
Yeah.
Feels like it's the fifth. There's a lot of taboos out there, guys.
There
I
is.
mean, we just kind of,
There's no end to them.
we are some uptight people.
We really are.
That is, yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Legalism has been rampant.
we can
are-
find a lot of stuff we don't like.
we are like the police of the world.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
moral
you know?
police.
Well, and you know what? Speaking about things you like and don't like, how about you hit that like button
Is that
and hit subscribe?
Yeah.
Hit the little bell so you know when these episodes drop. And if you're listening on Spotify, leave us a rating and a review.
That's it. It is not a taboo to hit the subscribe button.
That's right.
Yeah. And shout out Rhonda. Thank you for your comment. Alan, thank you for your comment.
Yes.
I love that Alan said he knew that he had a good reason to think yoga was dumb.
Yeah,
I
there
got
you
tickled
go.
at that.
There you go.
Yeah.
What did
And,
Rhonda say? On YouTube?
Rhonda was talking about our cussing video.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said that she appreciated some of the
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 acceptable
substitute
words.
words.
yes, the substitute words.
Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't find that
And Nicole responded with her made-up swear word:
What was it?
shiitake mushrooms.
Oh, yes. I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's
job.
a good one.
I'm going to use that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I haven't used it already.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Instead,
We'll do-
I
we
Points,
do.
Nicole.
Definitely appreciate that because we want the interaction.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've just really been kind of infatuated with the word scubalon.
Me too.
Scuba on,
Yeah.
That-
I have to.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yes.
props to Brother Peter.
He got it.
He got it in there. Me and Pat were doubting it.
I got up and did a lap, man. When he said it in the service, I was like, oh, I had to come find you and tell you. I was like geeking out.
If you want to figure out how I use the word scubalon in a message, just go to Facebook or YouTube.
Yep.
Go to our YouTube channel, and the sermon is right there.
On this channel, on this YouTube channel that you're
on this-
watching now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually, and the funny thing was, I knew that there was a handful of people that knew what I was talking about, and it totally, it went completely with
Yeah.
It did.
with what I was saying.
I guarantee you there's a bunch of people who are like, I don't know what that meant, but it flowed with it.
Exactly.
They're like, scuba line, I
It's
don't know what it is.
I guess he just got a hold of the Holy Spirit and spoke in tongues for a minute there. And it's like, well, no, actually, it's the word for BS. So there you go. And that's the way I wrote it too. It's like, and at first, my wife thought I was going to say, I call BS because I said I call, and then I said rubbish, which is the English translation of the word that Paul uses.
Yep, scuba line.
And then I used the Greek word.
Paul was proud.
I was
Yeah.
kind of proud.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
was
man,
like-
me and Pat both were.
I was sitting in my office going through that and went, holy shnikes, I can use this.
It works.
Holy scuba line?
Yes, absolutely. Fiddlesticks.
Oh, shiitake mushrooms.
Yeah, shiitake mushrooms.
So anyway, we are going to tackle, honestly, Pat, I felt like the whole Christian world sort of got past this one, but there are a number of people in this world who have not gotten past this one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
This is our episode on tattoos, piercings, and what I'm going to call body modification.
Yeah.
Yeah, tattoos and piercings. I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
What do you think about tattoos, Pat?
Well,
Pat clearly has a problem with
I have a
tattoos.
problem with them. My headphones are covering up my earrings right now. But
that's right.
yeah, they're sinful, they're horrible,
Yeah.
and you sinners need to repent.
That's right. Everybody repent.
You don't have the little nose ring.
Well, see, now I wish we were doing this episode in tattoo parlors. I was getting one.
I know this was
See, that's what
That would have
really-
been great. Yeah.
Yep.
But before we really dive into this, how was the Roman Empire divided?
Oh, gosh.
I don't know.
A pair of Caesars.
I didn't know that this was the joke.
I didn't either.
You got me. A pair of Caesars, man.
He
Dang.
tickled himself.
He did.
I did.
I was actually about to stop you and say, you got to do your joke.
I know.
Like, you caught me off guard, man. That was good.
Good job.
Good job. Man, I like the kind of being caught off guard.
Yeah. That's 2 weeks in a row.
I know.
Yeah.
Swung that one right around on you.
Yeah. Man.
All right.
Dang.
He
That
was
was
on
good.
fire
That was
tonight.
good. Well, I do wish now we should have done it there because I'd have done a Steve-O tattoo. I know y'all familiar with Steve-O?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, his famous show. Well, you know, he has a tattoo I always said I would have liked to have gotten. And on his butt, he has a tattoo. He's got actually quite a few on his butt, I think. But he would go up to people on the street and he'd be like, hey, what's your name? And they would tell him their name. And he'd say, I have your name tattooed on my butt
It's
cheek.
the word your
and
name.
it says your name
Yeah.
on his butt cheek. And I used to mess with Marcy. I'm like, I almost want to get that. So I'm like, I have your name. on my butt.
Everyone was asking me today what we're doing the podcast on, and I was like, tattoos, piercings, blah, blah. And everyone's like, does Peter have a tattoo? And I wanted to mess with him so bad and be like, yep, he's got a Tweety bird right on his left butt cheek.
Yeah, yes.
You know, I wanted to mess with people so bad. But
he has a full sleeve. He just wears sleeves all the time.
Right.
That's exactly right. I'm a tough guy. Yeah. Don't mess with me. This is we're going to get into the larger subject of body modification, which by this time in our society covers a lot of ground.
It
Man,
does.
It does.
But
Yes,
we're going
it
to
does.
start with, honestly, just with straight up tattoos because, you know, I like I say, I felt like we sort of moved on past that, but there is a whole camp out there that says that there are biblical reasons why Christians should not get a tattoo. Now, this is a very, actually a well-known pastor.
Yeah.
He's not well known, maybe, you know, globally, but in his little circles, he's very well known. And so I was watching some videos early in the week or late last week, and I came across this video. And the interesting thing about the video is, and this is sort of an article that's written by him based on his video. Okay. So the interesting thing is, I watched the video. It was about 13 minutes long. And he laid out all these reasons that I'm going to share with everybody here in just a second. And then I always like to go down to the comments, right? And I'm thinking, oh, there's going to be some
People land blasting him.
Straight down. It was like, great teaching. I'm glad finally somebody's standing up for what's right.
Yeah.
And like over and over, like 100 comments.
I feel attacked.
And I thought, whoa, man, you know, and I felt kind of like the opposite of when we did the yoga episode, because I was expecting to just give yoga a total pass.
Yeah.
And we couldn't go there. You know, it's like, oh, there actually is. And now I'm looking at this one going, what in the world?
That is, you know, well, I'm the same way. Like because I was telling him, I kind of was doing my YouTube research.
Exactly.
And
Internet theology.
And I was actually really surprised that, and then the multi layers of it. It's like, okay, well, this is okay because of this. This is not okay because of that. And it's like, well, that's pretty silly if you actually think about it. So,
well, and the interesting thing about it is, like when I was a kid, and when you were a kid, probably tattoos were only worn by evil people. Right?
I mean, Pat, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. You know, my upbringing was MTV, so everybody that I liked had tattoos.
Yeah,
so I thought it was completely normal.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know,
And the messages that I got from like my parents and grandparents were, sailors get those.
Okay. You know what's funny though?
And they give them to each other in prison.
In my family, like my grandmother is super religious, you know, and was always that way. And none of our parents, that was the grandkids, none of our parents had tattoos. But
your grandmother had a bunch.
No. But me, my brother, my cousin Jason, like we all went and served in the military. Yeah. And then next thing we know, like we're coming back with these tattoos and our parents are getting tattoos.
Really?
Yeah. So like we reversed the trend.
Wow.
So it was trippy. Like my Uncle Bill, he got a Marine Corps bulldog tattoo on him. Yeah. You know, my mom got some tattoos and it was just really cool to see though. You know, because there was that stigma all growing up that, you know, you couldn't get ears pierced, couldn't get tattoos, things like that. And we just shattered that.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty fascinating. You kind of reversed it, man. Like, see, I had like an awakening moment when I was probably 10 or 11. Like I listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and a lot of them, but you know, a lot of them weren't tatted up.
Not yet, no.
No. And then you get into I had older cousins that were big into Alice in Chains and Metallica. And I like have a fond memory of going over there. We were there for like some family get together, and they're asking me about like Metallica. And I'm like, man, I don't really know a lot of Metallica. I'm like, mostly listen to Led Zeppelin or something. And they're like, come here. And they take me in there. This was like a VHS tape of Metallica live, Alice in Chains. And that was probably my first exposure to really much tattoos.
Yeah. And see, like that was my childhood. We had cable as a kid, and I sit there and they had this show called Headbangers Ball.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I would record them.
Yeah.
I would record over like family reunions and stuff, and I would record them because I was trying to learn guitar, and we didn't have YouTube and all these online lessons in.
No.
So I would have to rewind and watch where their hands were. And then I found out that a lot of people on these music videos were just pantomiming.
Yeah. Wow, that makes
So
learning
that
to
messed
play
me
really
up.
hard.
Yeah, it does. It really lets you down. Disillusioned.
But watching guitar players' hands, though, you see a lot of all these arms with tattoos on them. And so I'm like, yeah, that's
I
cool.
remember Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Now, it was hard to tell on Alice Cooper what was makeup and what was tattoo.
Yeah.
But he was like the evilest of the evil.
Yeah.
And I
Mr.
remember
Shocker.
my youth pastor would say, and he's a preacher's kid.
I was watching an interview with Alice Cooper, and he's like, I was the king of shock. And then Rob Zombie came out.
Yeah.
Well, I was about to say, so who went up to him, Marilyn Manson or Rob Zombie?
I would say Rob Zombie.
You think so?
Yeah, Marilyn Manson was more creepy.
Oh, he's super weird.
But Rob Zombie, like his artwork and his music videos and stuff, it was like a whole nother level.
Oh, anyway, yeah, I mean, Hellbilly Deluxe is like legendary.
Yeah, it was a whole nother level.
Yeah, I mean, Brother Peter was jamming Dragula on the way in.
Yeah.
He was digging through the ditches.
I saw Peter fist bumping as he pulled in.
Man, I figured out why they call it double bridges.
What?
It's because it's the portal, man. It goes both ways. You turn on that, and you can go down or they can come up. It's just, you're into, Nowheresville once you hit that road.
I feel you ought to jam some Rob Zombie on there.
I'd probably scare myself half to death is what I'd do. So anyway.
What was your exposure to tattoos?
Well, once again,
Alice Cooper?
Was it Alice Cooper?
It really was. I mean, and then by the time I got into the music business, then
how old were you?
Oh well, this would have been when I was 8 or 9 years old.
Gotcha.
When I first started hearing about Alice Cooper. Now, the only Alice Cooper song that I ever actually remember hearing was I did my first job when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
I picked berries in the summer. And so it's so funny because we would never do this with our kids today. Okay. So, my mom would make a lunch for me and my brother, and she'd send us out to walk 6 blocks to the town square where a bus would come, and we'd get on the bus and they'd drive us about 12 miles out of town to the berry field.
At 8 years old?
8 years old.
So what was your brother, like 10?
9.
9.
Yeah, 8 and 9. And we would pick. We had to wait for the bus at 6:30 or 7 maybe. We pick berries from 8 to 3:30.
Dang, that's a good day's work.
And then we'd have like some time for lunch and everything.
Yeah.
And then they drop us back off at that street corner, and we walk back to the house. And the funny thing was, we were not allowed to listen to secular music.
Yeah.
But everybody in the berry field was. But we heard some pretty cool music.
Well, they had like a boom box out there?
Everybody just had different radios, and they'd all turn to the same radio station.
So it's really loud.
Cool.
Yeah,
That is cool.
And so we heard School's Out.
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping it was No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Well, we heard that one too. That was the other one. I forgot about that one. Yeah, we heard that one for sure. But then, it was a lot of pop music, you know, a lot of disco stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah, but we would hear Doobie Brothers a lot.
Yeah.
And Steve Miller Band, man. That was my jam.
Well, see, the tattoos, I feel like, really had not jumped into the scene that heavily yet.
No, that's what I was going to say. When you got in the music business, though.
Well, that's when I first started seeing it, because I guess it was about 18, 19, something like that. We started playing these big rock clubs.
Yeah.
So then it was like Billy Squier and Van Halen and people like that, and the tattoos really started to come out.
All the tattooed freaks.
And then it was
Here we come.
Billy Idol, all those people. So, and then, by that time I just wasn't all that interested. I didn't have any feelings about it one way or the other.
Yeah.
But, obviously what I was taught when I was little was only.
So you had not held on to, or you did not prescribe to these are a sin.
No. I mean, when I was little, I was just kind of, I used to go with my dad to the federal prison we had to ride a boat. I can't make this stuff up. We had to get on a boat and go to McNeil Island. And it was a minimum to medium security, federal prison, a lot of, federal crimes. And I knew that there were a lot of men that had tattoos there.
So you associated like they're criminals.
Yeah, sailors.
So, Pat, you criminal.
And people in prison.
Sailor, yeah.
And then I was always told, and what happens when they get these tattoos and they get old, they just start sagging and all that tattoos are just sagging,
Tosh, the comedian, he says, yeah, that girl, she's got a nice, pretty eagle on her back right now, but that thing is going to turn into a vulture when she's like, hey.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, so I watched this video and got this article, and I'm going to give you the arguments. Okay. So we're going to look at both sides of this. Okay. Right. And so here's what he says. And it's funny because the intro to this article, he says, throughout history, human beings have never been satisfied with their appearance and have sought to adjust or enhance certain areas of their body. From the use of makeup to painting the nails, using tight jeans, tanning salons, high heels, bizarre haircuts. As he's sitting there in tight jeans with a bizarre haircut. Yeah. Telling me about how.
I was going to say, I bet this dude has tight jeans.
Is he linking these with tattoos?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Skinny jeans wearing guy here.
Trimmed facial hair, tattoos, piercings, even earlobe plugs. Oh, my
What's wrong with trimmed facial hair?
I don't know. I
mean, not that mine's particularly very trimmed, but I don't understand what these...
with their God-given bodies.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. And... So it goes into some statistics, and the interesting thing is I got this other article I'm going to reference a couple of things from in a little bit, but he goes into these statistics in a little more detail. It says 16% of all adults have at least one tattoo. I would have thought it'd been higher.
I would have too. Yeah. I'm kind of surprised.
I'm a statistic.
The highest incidence of tattoos was found among, you think adults 18 to 90.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's only 16%.
I know,
that seems low.
Highest incident was found among Americans aged 25 to 29, 36%, and those ages 30 to 39, 28%.
Huh.
Yeah. So, and tattoos started to become popular in the U.S. when Samuel O'Reilly patented the first electric tattoo machine in 1891.
So they didn't have to hit the stick or whatever?
Which was based on an embroidering machine invented by Thomas Edison. How about that?
Wow. Thank you, Tommy.
Thanks, Tommy.
Yes. Okay, so among university students, 23% had 1 to 3 tattoos. 51% had 1 or more body piercings, aside from the earlobe piercings for women and men.
What's from those?
Yeah, but not counting. That's taking the ear piercings away.
Dang, that seems like a high statistic.
I know.
Of odd tattoo or piercings.
I had my eyebrow pierced once.
Get this. Tattooing is the country's 6th fastest growing retail business.
Sweet.
Growing at the rate of 1 new tattoo parlor opening its doors every day.
Golly.
Every day, Pat.
We're in the wrong business, man.
One estimate has 30,000 tattoo and body piercing artists working in the United States, with at least 8 major tattoo magazines being published regularly.
Whoa.
You want me to cause a stink real quick?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give a plug for a tattoo shop up in New Bern. All right, it's called Off the Grid Faith.
Yeah.
And it's a Christian-based tattoo shop.
Oh, but that can't be right. Tattoos are sinful.
Tell them that.
And my best friend Michael Heiser interviewed a couple who has a tattoo parlor, and they have a church in the back. Yeah, how about that?
I hate that they're such hard sinners.
I know, but get this. The Hebrew word for imprint is Q-A-A-Q-A. How do you think you pronounce that?
Kuka?
Caw-caw!
I love the way you sold it. Good job.
Thank you very much. I'm on a roll today.
Yeah, you committed.
Which also can mean tattoo or incision. In the Near East, tattoos were used to mark slaves. Okay, so we got that part of it. Anyway, he says gave him the laws, and the reason they gave him the laws is so they were going to the Canaan land, and he wanted to make sure that they would be different, set apart from the Egyptians and the Canaanites. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have examples of pagan use of tattoos. In Jeremiah, it says they would tattoo themselves during mourning, and they would also cut themselves. They would also cut themselves to evoke the gods. We see the prophets of Baal, Elijah, calls down fire, and they're cutting themselves with swords and lances, it says.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, and in Egypt, tattooing was limited to women.
Really?
And it was associated with fertility.
Okay.
They would tattoo certain body parts. How about that? And to be a good luck charm for protection in the birthing process. Then it talks about the Canaanites. Canaanites were tattooing people, apparently.
It's funny. I have to tell you, I got to just, there's certain times on here I just have to really hold it in. I just have to refrain from just going all rebellious.
Oh, you'll get your chance. You'll get your chance. You just got to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's really important. Okay. So, he goes into the New Testament examples on tattoos or body art, which amount to 0.
Oh, so that means that it's not right.
But he goes back to this this verse in 2 Corinthians, which we use several times. All things are lawful for me, but not all things edify. Yeah. So that's basically the only article.
Would this be is this the Christian liberty verse, essentially?
No, this is not the same exact one. Okay. There's one in Galatians. There's one, I think it's 1 Corinthians, where it basically says you're free, but don't use your freedom as an excuse to violate, to sin and violate, and if it impacts somebody else, don't do it, that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. So he gets into, we'll get into this in a minute. He wants to, but he starts into the reasons why we should never have tattoos. And one, you'll love this. He says demons can enter through tattoos.
Oh no!
Whoa!
Yes.
Like when? Is it all the time, or only when you're being tattooed?
It opens a portal. So that doesn't mean a demon will come through your tattoo, but they can.
That explains my life so much.
There you go. See, because body piercing and tattooing involve piercing the skin, and they have pagan spiritual associations. Tattooing and body piercing can and do give openings to demonic curses. Tattoos are associated with heathen cultures, reintroduced to the Western world in the 1700s by who? By sailors.
Those sailors. Dang it.
Who had visited the Polynesian Islands. And I'm going to talk about the Polynesian Islands. Fascinating story.
Good sauce. They made good sauce.
Oh, man. You are exactly right. I love that stuff. Yes. More sauce, please. Yeah. So then it says, for most of history, people believed that the marks of tattoos and other kinds of body modification carried some kind of magical power.
I ain't seen it.
Yeah, body markings from the Wiccan religion, all these different kinds of things. So here's the 6 reasons. 6 reasons why you shouldn't get a tattoo.
All right.
Number 1 is your motive. What motive are you using to get a tattoo? Pat, what was your motive for getting a tattoo?
It looked cool.
Chicks dig it. I don't think it was, Pat. I think it was rebellion against parental authority.
Well, my parents signed for my first one.
Oh, there you go.
Well, man.
Okay.
Yeah, that kills the rebellious side, don't it?
You may need to dig into your heart just a little bit more.
Maybe. I think I have unrepentant sin.
You might be...
there might be a demon in there.
You might be just like Cleopatra, queen of denial.
Yeah.
It says, why do you want to mark up your body for the rest of your life? Is it rebellion against parental authority? Ephesians says that's wrong. Okay?
Wow.
That's what it says.
Hey, that's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. Wait, where's the rest of my article?
Yeah, you can't leave us hanging now.
I know. While you're looking for it, I will say this. Like I said, I grew up seeing tattoos, and I thought it looked cool. It's no different than, why do you wear T-shirts versus, a long sleeve shirt? It's what you like. It's no different than people that wear sunglasses inside.
Yeah, well, that's hard to forgive there, I'll be honest.
Well, I mean, I let them do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they're going to go to hell for it.
I don't know. They might. Wearing sunglasses inside is pretty weird. No.
But I mean,
can you not find it?
No, where's the rest of my article? It's like it's gone.
What's it called?
I'll get it.
Get her there.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord for these handheld computers we have.
Them. Yes.
and so if these things are related to pagan beliefs, couldn't we say the same thing for Nike?
Like how?
Well, I mean, it's the Roman goddess.
Yes.
So anyone who wears Nike is supporting that, right?
Well, I hadn't even thought about that.
I mean, we see this kind of mentality everywhere. And like I said, as far as magical powers go, unless it's a magical power of having really uptight Christians ask me about my tattoos, that's the only magical power I have about it.
Well, that's one of the things I was researching there. The guy was saying you could get tattoos, but they had to have a spiritual influence. And it had to be a tattoo that if somebody sees, they could say it could lead to a conversation about Christ, which was comical to me because I've shared with Pat and Brother Peter, Marcy listens to this. She knows if I got tattoos, I don't have any tattoos. If I got some, it would be, I'm a weirdo. It would be skulls and skeletons and very just dark and
I got some of them too.
I know, and I love it, man. That's what I like that a lot. And,
but
the guy said you shouldn't have skulls and skeletons.
We talk about this all the time, right? It's authenticity. I'm not going to cover up my tattoos or take my piercings out just to put on a front for someone to make them more comfortable.
But you're not getting the rest of these reasons.
Did you find them?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, your motive was only 1 out of 6.
Yeah, that's 1 out of 6.
Okay.
Yeah, because it says, would your tattoo glorify God?
Yeah, I got a cross right here.
Oh, see, there you go.
And scripture right here.
With the skull?
Yeah. I used to be dead. He's witty.
Try bones, man. He's rattling them up.
Okay, so the second reason you should not get a tattoo is modesty.
Modesty.
Because modest is hottest.
What's immodest about a tattoo?
The focus of body art is on the external adornment of the body. However, the Bible tells us not to focus on this.
Well, someone ought to blow that makeup scheme up.
Yeah.
So are you trying to direct people's thoughts toward God or draw attention to your own body?
Mm-hmm. What if your tattoo is a godly tattoo?
So should you just look like crap all the time?
I think you should.
Yeah.
Is that why it said you shouldn't trim your facial hair?
Probably.
I'm curious.
Doing all right.
Is this an ugly person making this?
No, actually, no, it's not.
He's scared people are going to catch up to him.
His facial hair is trimmed.
Oh, well, he's a liar.
Well, maybe.
See, I feel a little holy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My facial hair is pretty
See,
untrimmed.
You're above him.
Then 3 is marketability.
What?
Depending on the job, you might not get hired because of certain markings on your body.
I feel like I am more, and please leave this in the comments if you're watching. I feel like I am more relatable to a sinner than your 3-piece suit pastor is.
Well, to be fair, Pat, there are lots of reasons why any 3 of the 3 of us would not get hired at certain jobs. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah, they know we're a big piece of scuba line.
It has nothing to do with tattoos.
Well, how does marketability make it a sin?
That's
the craziest thing I've heard.
Okay, so then number 4 is the message. Think of the message you are sending through the tattoos. What symbols are being shown? Is it snakes, names, skulls, or demonic figures? We are Christ's ambassadors, delivering God's message to the world. What message does that tattoo send? Okay. 5 is money. Think financially. Is it the best use of your money?
Oh, man.
It was mine.
Man, this is funny.
I know.
This is funny.
And he says that, can't you just take that money and give it to the church?
Has he ever blown $1? Has he ever wasted $1 on something?
No, he's a pastor. Pastors don't do that.
Skinny jeans are more expensive than regular ones.
Yeah.
And then he says tattoo removal is even more expensive and more painful than the needle itself.
Good, because I'm not getting it.
Okay. And then number 6 is medical. Not only are tattoos painful in themselves, but they can result in severe allergic reactions, infections, unsightly scars, and even blood-borne diseases like hepatitis B and C.
Sounds like you need a reputable tattoo parlor.
It deliberately opens the skin and exposes your blood to unknown bacteria. Tattoo parlors are not registered medical clinics, even though they are puncturing the skin and exposing blood.
Out of 10 tattoos, I've never gotten an infection. Not one.
Well, honestly, standards and technologies have come a long way. They don't do these, in the backs of pool parlors anymore.
Yeah.
They're pretty serious about what they do.
Yeah.
I've been in tattoo shops that are cleaner than dental offices.
Yeah.
Okay, so here are some commonly asked questions regarding tattoos. Did Jesus have a tattoo?
Did he
Yes.
or does he?
Does he?
Didn't he have one on his heel?
On his thigh.
That's right.
thigh.
Yeah.
Yes. Revelation 19:16, on his robe and on his thigh, he has this name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, which is a boss.
Yeah, he
that
has.
is.
It's just with a magic marker. Come on.
I hate that Jesus was a sinner.
It was henna.
Yeah.
It was
a henna tattoo. Yeah. Yeah.
On that. This is what he says. Well, listen to this.
Does this guy remark about the Jesus?
Yeah, he does.
Oh,
This website keeps skipping
shooting you
through.
to the top.
Well, it's got this little chat bot on the bottom of it, and it keeps kicking me out. So did Jesus have a tattoo? Here it is. But here's what he says. The text does not say that it is a tattoo. It could be written by a supernatural marker.
Did he really say that? I nailed
world?
it. I nailed it.
Wow,
The
man.
holy magic marker.
This guy hits his hand with a hammer and he says toot. I can just hear it.
No, it's poot.
Poot.
It's very weak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Poot.
But here's the other.
Tootie.
Here's the thing. Okay, so Revelation 22:3-4 says, his servants shall serve him, they shall see him face to face, and his name shall be on their forehead.
It's a magic marker.
It's got to be.
It's the magic marker.
So
of
is
the Lord.
this the Bible telling us we can get face tats?
Apparently it is, because you're not supposed to be able to wash that off.
Right.
It's not supposed to wear off.
Yeah.
I mean,
The fact that he actually said it could be like a marker.
A supernatural divine marker.
Can you picture Jesus being like, let me get the marker and scribe this on my thigh.
Michael, bring me the marker. It is time.
But then towards the end of the article, he says, now, if you got tattoos before you became a Christian, we're going to say, we love you and come and be a part of us. So
your grandfather
you're gonna be okay,
did.
Pat. Yeah.
No, because I got some after.
Man, you are in trouble.
You were almost grandfathered in.
Yeah, and well, I'm still going to get more.
Final thoughts. In short, will getting tattooed send me to hell? Probably not.
Probably not. I'm going to go ahead and say no.
That guy had a hard time saying probably not. I
Yeah,
feel like
he
he
wanted
wanted
to
to say
say
yes. He did.
He did say, he says, can it open the door to demons? There is a chance. Is it wise to get it? I don't think so. I don't think it's wrong, but I don't think it's wise. If you have ungodly tattoos, anoint them with oil and do prayers of renouncing all evil attachments.
Just from the way this guy writes, and this is going to be a complete just Pat observation, but this is the way I view a lot of men in America today. Just out of him, the way he wrote this is a guy who saw the people with tattoos and was always like, man, I want one of those. But he was too scared to go get one. So now all of a sudden, everyone who has one, yo, you big sinner, blah, blah, blah. I bet he hits like 135 on bench too.
He's saying their patooties are headed straight to HE double hockey sticks.
This guy needs to eat a rare steak and watch some football and get a big cup of man up.
Okay.
Thought you were about to say a big cup of mayonnaise.
No, man up.
So this is the interesting thing here. If you have ungodly tattoos, anoint them with oil, do prayers of renouncing all evil attachments. So if you have evil tattoos, just do some magic over
I
them.
was going to say, do some rituals.
The good magic overcomes the bad magic, right?
Man.
Apparently. He says, the bottom line is that it's not a sin to get a tattoo. It's a matter of Christian freedom, which should be guided by love, humility, and good judgment.
I can't say all of mine been in good judgment.
Oh,
but,
well,
but
I'm
like 8 for 10.
What I ate for lunch today was not in good judgment.
Yeah, I hit Taco Bell up sometimes, Man, I'm still honestly blown away by the marker.
Yeah, it's just the audacity of people to rationalize it.
It sounds so. I don't know. It sounds so sort of condescending. We get to the end of this.
How does he have these 6 points? But then in his summary there, he said, "Is it wrong? I don't think so, but it's unwise."
I know. Yeah,
it's like your whole article is saying that it's wrong. So now you're admitting at the end that it's not wrong.
Yeah, this is preaching personal opinions.
Yeah,
but it sounds so. He says, many folks who come out of the world and get saved by the blood of Jesus Christ still have tattoos, many or few, which cannot be erased or easily removed. They are imprinted on their bodies for a lifetime. Therefore, we will love these new believers as our family members in Christ.
So your love for believers is conditional.
Yeah. But he says, no, he says, reach out to the tattooed and the non-tattooed with the love of Jesus Christ and do not judge. After he just judged everybody.
I was going to say,
9 pages. Yeah, anyway.
And you're unmarketable. And look,
man,
there's, I would say on the marketable thing, it's kind of funny to me because tattoos are pretty common these days. Now, if you go so far to be like that crazy guy I've seen on social media that's like become an alien and he's got like his whole face and head tattooed and he fully went into the body modification and he literally looks like an alien. He had his nose removed.
Wow.
Like, have you not seen this guy? It's terrifying. Like, he's like a thing of nightmares. And he had like lumps installed into the top of his head, like all the way around. Like he literally made himself look like an alien. He had his jawbone or cheekbones are like really pronounced and he completely looks like an alien.
Man, here's the thing.
I'm not hiring him to help me on the farm.
Well, here's the thing is I can have an opinion about what people should or should not do. That's fine.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what you do with your body, the way you dress, makeup you put on, tattoos, piercings, the whole nine, it's not on me to decide what's right or what's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we're gonna get past this. We're gonna move on in just a second, but I have to do a little theology here.
Okay.
Okay, just
all right,
a little.
I'm going to show you this guy real quick.
Oh, okay.
The
Here
alien
he
guy?
is. Yeah, he even had his fingers removed.
Golly.
Look, he had 2 fingers removed. He had the tip of that finger cut off, but there's his head. Here he is before and after. Normal looking guy.
That is just no.
Woo, man. There's something more brewing behind the scenes on that one.
Oh my gosh.
That guy didn't watch an Alice in Chains video and want to go get that done.
No.
He can get a job in Hollywood though.
I think he drove down Double Bridges Road.
He never come off the other end.
He went in the wrong portal. You went in the wrong portal, man.
It's the other bridge. It's the other one. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so just to get a little more of a theological perspective.
Seeing that on Double Bridges Road right there.
No,
That's you.
no,
Golly.
no. If I believe if that ran out in front of me, I would not hit the brakes.
Oh, yeah.
Peter's like, last car worth it.
Yeah. Golly.
Okay, so this guy gets he gets a little bit over the top on this.
So is this yay or nay for tattoos as well?
This is still nay.
Okay.
One more nay.
Gotcha.
Okay, and I want to tell you, what? Okay, anyway, this guy says tattoos and body piercings are in themselves neither moral nor immoral. And then once again, he goes on to tell you why they're immoral.
I like how they contradict themselves.
Yeah, he says, believers who are considering tattoos or body piercings first should be led by their consciences, then should consider the effects that such symbols will have on their physical bodies, interpersonal relationships, and spiritual lives for eternity. You know, it's like all that.
Oh, yeah.
But he writes this story. He says, I returned home from Sid's tattoo parlor. Was it really called Sid's?
I hope so.
Sid's Tattoos and Burger Shop to find.
I want to go there.
Yeah, I know.
Get your burger and a sleeve.
Yeah, and extra sanitary. You can, it's not smoky and non-smoky. It's sanitary and unsanitary.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. To find my father standing in the kitchen with a horrified look on his face. Without saying a word, I took off my shirt and signaled for him to help. As he peeled the blood-marked bandage from my back, my father's horror soon turned to lament. With tears trickling down his face, he sobbed, "I didn't make you like this." These words of disapproval from my beloved father hurt worse than the raw markings on my back. I felt rejected and didn't know what to do, so I got in my car, drove to the edge of town, and began to pray. As my earthly father's voice echoed in my mind, I began to ask my heavenly Father if I had made the wrong decision to go under the needle.
Ooh, under the needle.
Dramatic much.
That was very dramatic.
That's his intro.
So is this about himself?
Yeah, apparently it is. But anyway,
Wow.
he gets a little theological in here.
Themologic. Good job. Thank you.
And I mean, I just want to put this out there because it this is one of the arguments. Okay, so the big theological argument is that we are the image of God.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you don't want to, deface the image of God. You don't want to put graffiti all over God's train. You know what I'm saying?
There's the verse about the wall. What is it? The Bible verse everybody wants to quote about defacing the walls of God or His church or something.
Don't defile the temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what we get here is the verse that's always used is Leviticus 19. Leviticus 19, which says, let's see, it's 25, I believe. No, it's not 25. Where is it? I am losing everything here.
It is Leviticus 19.
Okay, so it starts in 26. You shall not eat anything with the blood, nor practice divination, nor soothsaying. You shall not round off the side growth of your heads, nor harm the edges of your beard. See, there you go.
Yep. See, I'm doing
safe,
all right,
Logan.
Then verse 28 is one they always use. You shall not make any cuts in your body, on your body for the dead, nor make any tattoo marks on yourselves.
All right,
I am the Lord.
You hit this is the one thing I will give that guy credit for that I was listening to. Everybody goes to that one verse and they skip the previous verses.
That's right.
And at the part,
right.
and that guy actually went on those and he was like, all right, he said, if you're going to use this as a verse, I'm going to also say that you must not be eating beef, pork, like he named all these. He said, you can't eat a cheeseburger or a steak because the blood was not drained from that animal.
That's exactly
right. And he said, you also can't be, wearing, if you're wearing a shirt that's half polyester, half cotton, you are sinning right now.
So if you're over the age of 30 and you buy jeans, I can guarantee you they got a little bit of spandex in them.
Yeah. I like them that way.
I do
too. A little stretchy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he did make that point. He was like, if you're going to use that verse, let's look at the full context of the verse, which nobody ever does.
And it also says there, you can't lie with your uncle's wife, and who around here doesn't do that? So, anyway, he actually talks about this again in Leviticus 21. Well, actually, he doesn't talk about the cutting, but he starts talking to the priests, and then we can go over to Ezekiel, my good friend Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 44, and it expands on this whole idea of instructions to the priests. He says, the priests shall not shave their heads, shall not let their locks grow long. They shall only trim the hair of their heads, nor shall any of the priests drink wine when they enter the inner courts. And he goes on, and then we hear this verse again about they shall not go to a dead person to defile themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in Leviticus 21, it's talking about not touching dead things and dead people. Well, when you make the connection between Leviticus 19, 20, and 21 and Ezekiel 44, what we see here is that God is talking about their religious practices. That you can't. He doesn't want them replicating the practices of the Canaanites,
pagan,
in their worship.
Yeah.
And that's why he's specifically instructing the priests not to lead this way and the people not to follow this way. So there's no possible way that this is a blanket rebuke on the whole body modification thing.
So even if it is, does that mean all I got to do is wait 7 days and then I'm clean?
Yeah, and just bring a ram with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, so in the argument here, I feel like the pro-tac guy versus this guy here, you would say, well, the veil was torn. We're free from the law. So what would the
right now I'm the pro-tac guy.
What I'm saying, what would the anti-tat dude say to that?
Okay, here's what he's going to say, and it's still kind of living in the Old Testament a little bit, but he says that there are 4 aspects of the image of God in which humans were made. Okay, structural, functional, relational, and teleological. You know what that is?
Thinking the way we think.
They use the same cell phone.
Yes, yeah. Actually, it is the theology of design, or the something acting within the purpose it was made for, fulfilling the purpose for which it was made.
Gotcha.
So he says the structural aspect of the image of God indicates that the humans have the capacity to know, to reason, and to make moral decisions. Functional aspect, it is that humans are to operate as God's representatives on earth by ruling over nature. Relational aspect of the image of God indicates that humans have the capacity to mirror the unity within the Trinity through relationship with God and other humans. And the teleological aspect indicates that humans are created for the purpose of glorifying God through making visible his character.
Ah, so if you tattoo, you're skewing God's visible character.
That is basically a fourfold desecration of the image of God. Okay. So there's some refutations to this sort of argument. Some rabbinical sources suggest the prohibition was limited to only heathen, idolatrous, and superstitious tattoos. There's some rabbinical writings that say stuff like that. The rabbis believe that the master who tattoos his slaves so he doesn't run away is exempt from the prohibition in Leviticus 19:28. And then there's another rabbinic writing that only forbids tattooing the name of another god.
So you could get any tattoo as long as it's not the name of another god.
That's what the rabbis sort of deduced after a while. Here's my argument about this theology. Okay. When's the last time you went to the beach?
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you see people on the beach?
I did, yep. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Were they all in perfect health and perfect shape and wearing perfectly appropriate clothes?
They were.
Yes, I knew they would be.
I was going to say no and no.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the ones that weren't in good health were wearing the inappropriate
The
clothes.
least coverage, yes. Yeah, that is true.
I'm just saying there are many things we do to ourselves, our bodies, the image of God, besides tattoos and piercings and things like that.
Oh, sure.
You can kind of, I suppose you can kind of maybe make an argument for motive and intent.
Yeah.
But, and then I think to myself, well, what about a person who is disfigured for one reason or another?
Yeah.
Just visibly, just hard to look at sometimes.
Yeah.
Are they just disqualified?
Yeah, God didn't make them.
Or God just has to tolerate them or put up with them?
That's what that sounds like.
I think they were elected.
They were predestined to be ugly.
Yes, pre-disfigured.
Yeah.
But to me, this just does not. He's got like 8 more pages on this.
I know that dude is passionate about this.
And metaphorically and literally, I feel like this is a very surface level theology.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how many times do we say this as believers? It matters about what's in your heart.
Yeah.
Or it matters about your relationship with Jesus as long as you look the part.
Yeah.
Man looks on the outward appearance. God looks on the heart.
Yeah.
That's just what it says.
Yeah.
And I feel like they got kind of just a bone to pick with the whole tattoo thing.
That's what I would think. Yeah.
And they're kind of like coming up with all these, he goes through the list. He says, regrettably, tattoos and body piercings can desecrate the relational aspect of the image of God to the extent they hinder unity within the body of Christ and violate the consciences of fellow Christians.
See, I feel like this plays right back to that purity culture. And what we're going to end up doing, if we do this as a church and we keep passing this off,
I know.
What we're going to do is we're going to guarantee that people will not come to the church.
Well, it's just like in the last episode when we talked about swearing and how, if you portray this squeaky clean thing, people are going to be turned off from that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I laugh, like kind of thinking about it, man, Jesus, I feel like if you painted a modern day picture of the crowd he was running with, they'd have been tatted up. Man, they'd have been the rowdiest.
I picture bikers.
That's what I was actually going to say. They'd have rolled up in Harleys and, I don't know. It just, some of these people, that's what I get. I get the sense that they really just have a bone to pick with it. And this is their own justification because both of those dudes there actually admitted it's actually not wrong.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to tell you why it's wrong.
And this, I would say this extends past tattoos, that we get into this habit. If the church doesn't look the way we expect people to look, all of a sudden it's wrong.
Yeah.
And how many times have you talked about this with community? Is that community is supposed to be people that don't look like you, don't talk like you, don't act like you, and of course, naturally we will have people that look like us and talk like us, but we should not limit it to that.
And here's the interesting thing too. I completely agree with you, Pat. The community is not, we are not supposed to be hung up on things like this.
Right.
now yoga, we can get upset about that.
You go morning sun salutation someone else.
Downward dog you.
Yeah. Not over here.
So, interesting thing though, he does say in this article, and this is true, that body piercing was an established custom among the Israelites.
Yeah.
Okay. They represented ownership, status, royalty, brides, the nation of Israel, all described as being adorned with nose rings and earrings.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how many other kinds of rings, but we know about those. Were not worn only by women, but also by men and children. Okay, so you can make an argument from silence that there was no body marking, tattooing, things like that. But actually, if you see multiple rabbinical writings trying to tell them what tattoos were okay,
that means they were there.
That means that somebody was doing something.
That's one of the definitions of baptizo.
I was just going there. I was just going to go there. To be marked or stained with a dye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
That's literally what that
are
means.
we doing when we get baptized?
Yeah.
We're identifying ourselves with an indelible mark.
A spiritual tattoo.
I think you ought to start
exposing the blood, as it were.
I think you ought to start doing tattoos instead of the baptism.
Yeah.
Now that
you should tattoo baptized.
Should we do infant tattoos?
I think so.
We should just do an arrow up or down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really weird. Okay, so we kind of I forgot to go to the Polynesian Islands for a moment. Never mind. I'll get there in a second. Okay, do you know who coined the term, the word tattoo?
No.
This was really cool. Captain James Cook.
Captain James
really?
Cook? Where have I heard that name?
He was one of the explorers that ended up spending a good amount of time in the Polynesian Islands.
Okay.
Yeah.
What, did he see markings on people?
And he witnessed how they would do it. And it was the
sticks, and he's like tattoo. So he was like a tattoo.
The word they used was tau.
Tau. Doesn't sound as cool as tattoo.
I know, but it means to tap. That's exactly what it means. And they had a god of tattooing. The god's name was Tohu.
Wow. So
tau, Tohu, tattoo.
It all kind of ties in there together.
Yes, it does. It was a rite of passage. It was most frequently done on, it was earliest done on women, and then the men would get theirs later.
Yeah.
And it described the process they did on women. What they would do is when they came of age, they would lay down on this kind of slab, and multiple women of the village would get these cactus quills, and they would dip them in the ink, and they would pierce the skin, and she would have to lie motionless and not say a word.
Were they all the same tattoos?
Well, yes, they were in different patterns, but they were all dots covering everything below the eyes.
You know what's funny is my tattoo artist, his name is Peter.
No way.
I kid you not. His name is Peter.
He's second Peter then. Anyway, so they would come up with a pattern ahead of time, and it would often have something to do with their family identification.
So they do it on their face,
all over their face and neck.
Wow!
And that was when the men began to find the woman beautiful. So after she got tattooed.
Wow!
Yeah, and they would call the untattooed pala'ai.
So this is why Kat Von D got saved.
You're probably right.
Yeah,
it opened her up for Jesus.
That's it.
Came in through the blood, right?
Came in through the
blood. Okay. They called the untattooed pala'ai, which means coward.
Oh, wow.
And literally had the connotation of their naked body is not ready for divine life.
Oh, man.
Man, I see now. I wish
harsh.
we would have had Kat Von D on the show.
Yeah, see that.
Well, there's still time.
Yeah,
there's still time. We can have her on.
She'll come on our show.
Yeah.
See if we can get Kat Von D to give me a tattoo during one of the shows.
That would work. With the stick. I want her to do it the old style.
The interesting thing, and we're going to kind of morph into the body piercing side of things. You know, I mean, we all kind of accept. I mean, earrings have been around forever now.
Yeah.
Never.
Yep.
People have different kind of weird ideas about nose rings, belly button
Booger
rings.
catchers is what I.
Yes, good old slime bar.
Yep. Booger catcher.
But what about the lips and the eyebrows and the just all the other stuff that people get? I mean,
I had my eyebrow pierced.
Yeah,
I did.
Did it make you want to pursue demonic things?
No, it made me want to get rid of it. I got into a fight and I got ripped out.
No.
So I was like, I'm done with that.
I watched The Punisher. They grab them with the pliers and rip them out.
No, I can't handle that. The ones in the lips get me because it just feels like that.
Well, I hear it.
Hurt.
I hear it when people talk.
I know it clacks.
Even again, to reference my good buddy Steve-O, on Wild Boys, he was at like a village and they were doing piercings and they would pierce the sides of their mouth.
Yeah.
And they take this long like needle and punch it through the side of their mouth. And Steve-O was like, let me try it. And so he opens his mouth and you put the needle inside your mouth and you push and you literally see it like and he's like, and he's like, ah, and then it punches through.
No.
And they would pierce the sides.
No.
Man.
No, I've seen girls with like the upper lip piercing, like here.
Yeah.
And I've seen, in the music scene, I've seen guys with, looks like their mouth was a zipper.
That would get on my nerves.
I mean, I've seen them all, but I never really thought, look at this freak. It was just normal to me.
The only one, those sometimes throw me off because I'm like, oh man, they've had a booger that's come out of their nose and it's gotten over there. Like I should tell them. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's not a booger.
No, it's actually.
And every time like a girl or someone tells me they're going to get their nose pierced, in which cool, but I want someone to do the bull ring.
I always,
if you're going to do it, get the.
You never see the bull ring.
I've seen it more lately.
Really?
Yeah, and so then, what do you think about gauges?
Alan, who watches the show, he has gauges.
Yeah. Did he like get bigger and bigger and bigger ones?
No, he didn't have like really big ones.
Okay.
He had, I guess, normal size. But in the Army, he had like none of us. We could have no piercings.
No, that's right. That's right.
And so Alan, do you still have gauges? I don't know.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know for real.
I thought one time I was like, it'd be funny to get my nipple pierced. I was like, that would be kind of funny.
My father-in-law has his nipple pierced.
Well, whenever my dad was still in the shop business, some of the mechanics there, or I guess he had gotten out. We were up here at the shop. I remember one of the mechanics was talking about he had gotten a little tipsy over the weekend. He got one or both nipples pierced, and he didn't keep them long because the mechanic is laying on the car, working,
no.
And he was like, "Man, my nipples are hurting so bad," so he didn't keep them long.
But if you feel fatigued, you can just put the jumper.
That's right. You can kickstart yourself up.
See,
be ready
I can
to go.
only imagine because, like in the Army, we would run, and anybody who's been in the service can attest to this. Is in the morning when you run, especially you start getting sweaty, your nipples would chafe.
Get chafed. Yeah.
And you want to talk about like hurt.
Yeah.
Like oh, no.
You put Band-Aids over.
Yeah. Could you imagine constantly?
No.
Yeah, that's true.
No,
I'm out.
That is not Tove.
Piercings, no. Piercings have never. I don't know, man. Honestly, I guess I'm weird there. Piercings and tattoos, I've never looked at them and been like, that's a sin. It's never registered to me that way.
You see this, and this is the thing is we're all talking about these things, and some of them look kind of weird to me, and they're kind of a little bit off-putting, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't attach any moral significance
unless
to it.
If someone walked in with a pentagram tattooed on their forehead, I'd be a little leery.
My future daughter-in-law, she has her septum pierced.
Really?
And it actually looks really cute on her.
Does she have the bull ring?
No, it's like a barbell.
Oh, no, tell her we want the bull ring.
Yeah, I want her to
see
do
the
that.
one
she was
where
in
it's
church
split.
Sunday.
Yeah,
sitting right there. Yeah,
Yeah, Peter judged her. He was like, I see that.
That's it.
Peter said, well, that one's going to hell.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's where, because you do see the guy I've seen before, people have it was online, some guy had an upside down cross on his forehead.
Yeah.
Obviously you get to the satanic
I think you know what you're doing there. Or you get like a bunch of like 3 6s tattooed on you or, crap like that.
Yeah.
Like obviously you know what that means.
Yeah.
Right. But it would be just the same as if you wore the t-shirts, know? I mean, you're just making a statement, right?
That's it.
It's not the actual act of the needle piercing the skin.
Yep.
That is, it's what you do with it.
Yes, your intention. What we said before.
Exactly,
the intention.
absolutely. That's
He's
exactly
like, I just like to lay it down. It's 3 nines.
So here's the interesting thing, because they one of the arguments, it's not a real prominent argument, but one of the arguments is that that body marking is a gateway to not only these bizarre piercings and things like that, but also cutting the skin.
Yeah. And I guess is that bad because you're releasing the blood?
But yes, and also it has connotations with pagan ritual.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Let me just go ahead and put this out there. And this is speaking for me, not for everybody else out there. I enjoy the way a tattoo feels. Yeah. Like, it's not super painful. Like, it's kind of like a Zen thing.
Yeah.
But it has never led me to, believe me, when I get cut, it hurts. Yeah. And I'm like, no, thank you. Yeah. I mean, even the little paper cuts, I'm like, no, I'm good on that.
I know.
Like, it does not lead to that, at least for me.
No, but here's the thing. Okay, so don't cut yourself. Don't cut yourself. Don't anybody who's godly cut themselves unless it's an 8-day-old baby's man part.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
So does that mean women are sinning when they mess up shaving their legs?
See, that's what I'm saying. For some reason, circumcision was endorsed.
Yeah.
But now
So it's almost like there's an intention behind the cutting of yourself.
Yeah. Well, I would say that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because, God mandated that. It's like, Abraham was a full-grown man.
And he didn't pray that thing off.
No,
he did not. And Joshua, remember when Joshua took them right up to the Jordan River, and God said, before you go in, better get all them men together, because you've been wandering around for 40 years.
Yeah. Imagine all them foreskins.
Yeah.
With
There's more than 4.
Yeah.
With a
flint knife. Yeah, it might took some sawing action.
It makes me want to dance.
Should we go back to Egypt?
Yeah. My friend in school was in a class on the Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, and one of their assignments was to do a little skit drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, acting out one of the scenes, and him and his little group did where Moses had to catch up everybody on this, and he said to the servants, you circumcise your servants too, and he played the part of the servant. He's going like, hey, I'm not one of you, and then and then he said. He said, "This is the only time I'll ever say it. Keep the tip." Yeah, I'll keep the tip. All right.
That's good.
So, and the other thing that when we get into piercings and gauges and all these different kinds of things, they say, there's a connection to these weird witchcraft practices in remote tribes because, there's like the women with the long neck, you know.
Yeah. So attractive.
Yeah. This is a nose plug.
That is really good looking right there.
Big, and they make them out of clay or wood.
Yeah.
And they implant them and they leave them there for life.
That's awesome.
You know what the legend is for this? What? There is no witchcraft significance at all. The legend is that the women of this tribe were so beautiful that all of the neighboring tribes would come and steal the women. And so they put the nose plug
to make them a little ugly.
To make them a little uglier. It worked.
It did work.
It worked.
So that's just a logical choice.
Yes, it is.
We got too many 10s. We need a few 6s around here.
They got some 2s now.
Yeah.
We have 10s now. Each man gets 5 2s.
Yeah.
And some of these pictures didn't print out, so I can't show you guys, but there is the lip plate.
Yeah, I've seen the lip
crazy looking thing.
And it can be on the top or the bottom.
The original duck lips?
Yeah, yeah, and if you want to be really super attractive, you do both. And there's some tribes only the women do it. Other tribes where both
they would
women
have
do it.
one in each lip.
Yeah, yeah, like flappers.
When they take them out, I mean, what do their lips do?
I have no earthly idea.
No, I do know. I think they look like a scrunchie. Don't they scrunch up?
Oh, man,
God, I hope so.
Man, I am
cool.
Google that right now.
I'm like 90% sure they get like a scrunchie or something.
But here's the interesting thing about it is that also has no witchcraft or religious significance. This is what they think makes them more attractive to the opposite sex.
That is strange to me.
I know. It is really strange. Nose plugs
So our really uptight people would say that's a sin.
They can be removed to eat and drink, it says.
Okay.
All right, see, it does kind of, well, if this picture, no, actually, it just kind of hangs. Wow. That looks awful.
That looks horrible.
That really does. And their body modification there, they got some stuff all up in the
Yeah, I don't even know how they do that.
I don't either.
Okay, so what about branding? What about branding?
Wow.
Logan told us he had a branding story. And
yeah, I want to hear it.
Yeah, I have never been branded.
Man, so I was about 17 years old, and we were at a get-together, bunch of high school kids, and there was no alcohol involved. Like, I want to preface that by saying no alcohol involved. We were over at this dude's house, and parents were there and everything. It had snowed, I think, recently, and they had this fire going. Well, there was a prod in there. It had like two prongs going over like this, and that's what you'd kind of move the logs around with.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm a 17-year-old full of pee and vinegar, as they'd say. And so the girls in our class, I'm like, man, I want to look tough in front of the women. So I was like, man, get that prod and brand my arm.
Oh, no, you did not.
I did. And I pulled my sleeve up, and my buddy Andrew, he got it in there, and I mean, he got it hot. And I said, put it on my arm up here. And he put it up here on my arm. And like it's kind of sizzled, and he pulled it off. And I said, dude, you got to put it on there if you're going to do it. And he put it back on there, and I could literally hear my skin sizzling. But he didn't leave it long enough because, like, you can't see any remnants of it. But it was there for about probably 4 years. And I had to hide it from my mom because it was a brand. And I mean, it did hurt like crap. And then it really hurt when I took a shower because, I mean, it's like a burned wound on your arm.
Yeah.
Well, the story gets really good because I'm hiding this from my mom. We go camping, me and some buddies later on. Well, I've got the brand. I'm the only dude that's branded at the school. Again, it's literally 2 lines. Like, it's not even anything cool. Like, I was just like, man, I should have got it at least put into some cool shape. Well, we're camping, and one of my buddies is like, I want a brand. And we got a coat hanger, and I'm like, all right, let's make you a brand. So we put it into like an X or something, and we put it in there.
Give it to you.
Yeah. Well, we branded him, and we branded him pretty good. Like,
wow.
We held it on there good. Well, he tells his mom, because she finds out later on, he tells her that we like held him down and branded it. And he's basically pins it all on me. And he's like, it was Logan.
Did it, mama?
And I'm like, it was your idea. You wanted, I'm like, I don't care if you get a brand. And so she goes off on me. I get home, I remember my mom's like, you have no idea how bad that had to hurt. And I'm like, I do know how bad it hurt. And she's like, how would you know? And I was like, yeah. And then I showed her, and she was, oh man, that just made it that much worse. So,
man,
I have been branded, I guess done branding, and man, I'll tell you, it's weird because I got a farming buddy that also got a brand. And I think it's some weird thing kind of with farmers, especially we have cattle. We used to brand cattle.
Yeah.
And like we had the Circle H logo. And at one time I thought about getting that branded on me. Like it's just something about a brand and like kind of being the farm guy. I'm like, man, let's put a brand on there.
I've never been branded, but I have burnt the crap out of myself many times.
I have too, and I don't want to do it again.
Every time it was an accident.
When I was working at the university, they had fraternity sororities. So there was a couple of big fraternities, and they were serious. I mean, they were serious about it. They're serious about it to this day, and they're all almost 40 years old.
Oh yeah, they brand them on the butt cheek, don't they?
And on the arm.
Yeah, you see a lot of football players get it.
This is like,
yeah,
and it's
well
raised up. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Oh, that's how this one I thought was going to welt because it had the spots in it where it burned kind of into the muscle, but it never whelped up. But like my buddy, his is like stands up off his arm.
Yeah, you got to get into the subcutaneous layer of the skin.
Well, I kept telling him, I was like, put it back on there. And hey, and it worked. I gained a lot of clout with the ladies. They were like, man,
chicks dig scars and tattoos, man.
If you'd have gone ahead and done the lip plate,
I'd really been in the ballpark.
That's it.
Marcy she's been trying to talk me into the lip plate.
If you had the lip plate, you could bring your beard up through it.
That would be really good.
That'd be the new sign.
Yep.
The thing that I learned is if you do it on the bottom lip, you have to have your front teeth knocked out to make room for it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a commitment. Wow.
Yeah.
So none of y'all have any branding experience?
No, none, zero.
Well, we might have to change
The
that.
first time I saw that on one of my students, I said, "What in the world have you done to yourself?" I got a brand, man. Just got a brand. It's like, why in God's name would you do that? And it's like, fraternity thing.
Oh, see, I feel like my reason was better. I feel like if you're doing it for the ladies.
Yeah, for the chicks dig it.
Yeah.
Well, they were doing it for the ladies because they all had their sister sorority.
Well, that's true.
It's all.
See, we need to make like an R and an R.
There you go.
That'd be a cool brand.
We could sell the branding iron.
Yeah, what do we do like Yellowstone and brand our chest?
Could I have a henna brand, please? And I could just reapply it later on. Yeah.
So what do they say about brands?
It really all comes down to what we're going to talk about in the last few minutes, and that is what they're called. They sort of lump all these together in what they call body modification.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a big term right now. And because it seems like every 5 minutes they're coming up with something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got this alien guy.
Yeah.
One big thing is that people are having their bodies modified to look like animals.
Yeah.
Like a guy looks like a cat. I mean, like he's had all this stuff done in tattoo and everything, and he walks around looking like a cat.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I don't either.
I mean,
there's obviously some deep psychological issues going on there.
Well, and I'm not even gonna, it's like, if that's the greatest passion of your life, there's worse things you could do with your life.
I just want to test it. Like I'd be spraying them with water bottles. You're not running.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
but I'm going like, okay, serial killer. I gotta look like a cat. I'll take the cat.
Yeah. What if it's a serial killer cat guy?
Well, it could be. Yeah, very well could be.
I feel like that guy would be the one being like, it puts the lotion on the skin. Like
Yeah. So it's like the fluffy murderers.
Yes. Yeah.
So the story about my buddy Shank, he was talking about his kid is like, do you put the cereal in first or the milk in first when you do it? And his kid told him, well, I'll put the milk in first. Now it's you serial killer.
I was going to say, that sounds kind of serial killerish there.
Yeah. Do you really put the... No, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't.
Weird. So anyway, we're talking, and so we can say, okay, anybody who does body modification has a little bit of a screw loose, but that's not where we're at.
No.
If you want to look like Garfield, go for it, man.
Yeah. I mean, dude spent like $100,000 to several $100,000 doing this, maybe even more.
Lord have mercy.
I know. And anyway, but where it starts to get dicey, honestly, when we're talking about this whole image of God thing, okay, I'm kind of thinking maybe there's something misfiring there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge anybody, and I certainly would not. I mean, if a cat guy came into Holly Grove, what would you do, Logan?
Well, I would put the rest of the team on high alert. Like, we got a cat guy in here.
I'm sitting here thinking, we were talking about he spent like $100,000 to have this done.
This dude's got a good offering.
Well, here's the thing as well.
Good point.
We're talking about stewards of the money, that God's entrusted you with. Let's look at Kenneth Copeland and his fleet of jets.
Yeah.
5 private jets. Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. Like
he could be a serious cat.
Right? He could be a legit cat, like with the Mario tail, the whole nine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I won't say if you want to look like a cat that it necessarily it's a sin, but I might say there is something, misfiring, as you said.
But when you have to just, welcome him and show him a seat.
Well, someone might
I'd put him. I'll tell you off air who I'd seat him next to.
Well, I already know.
You're very bad.
But someone might say the same thing about me with my tattoos.
No, but yes. Yes. Now, Logan, your mom would be nice to him.
Oh man.
No. But okay, so this is where I think we need to think, because we're dealing with a lot of this extreme body modification.
Yeah.
Because now we're dealing with male-female issues.
Yeah.
We're dealing with
species.
And honestly, we get like instantly triggered by this stuff. And on both sides of the fence, if you are totally affirming and you're very, very progressive, if somebody speaks one word in opposition to that, it's instant trigger.
Yeah.
And the same goes for the other side of the fence. Anybody mentions anything. But honestly, there are certain kinds of conditions.
Yeah.
One being this thing called gender dysphoria. It is a legit, like diagnosable condition.
And boy, that's triggering just what you said.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You can't even talk about it.
Some people deep in the faith will tell you that's not a thing.
Yeah.
I know they will, but there are certain kinds of conditions like, they used to, it's multiple personality disorder. They used to call it schizophrenia.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there were people that in my church growing up that didn't believe that was the thing.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. They're just demonic. They're just sinful. They're just, and yet, mental illness and, mental conditions, you don't always have to call them illnesses, a particular mental state.
Yeah. People did
is a real thing.
PTSD used to not be recognized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It used to be shell shock.
Shell shock. It's exactly right.
And they were just having problems.
He came home from the war and he's got shell shock, but he'll be okay.
Yep.
Just give him some time, some space, let him sleep.
They do a lobotomy on you, you'd be all right.
And it was that person who they were wrong.
Yes.
Hey, you know what I say about that? I'd rather have a free bottle in front of me than a prefrontal lobotomy.
Nice.
That is good. Man, you are on a roll. He's
on fire.
That's the one you got to slip in the sermon.
He's like,
Oh, man.
It would have to be like something with anointing oil or something.
But no, seriously though, there are mental conditions out there. There's all types of things out there that we can, regardless of the tattoos, body modification, or anything, we as believers are quick to jump to a conclusion. Well,
and honestly, just because, and I think this is where we can kind of draw a line through all these things to tie them together. It's because, it might, kind of low key offend me to see somebody coming in looking like an alien who's been,
I'm going to be honest. If that one dude walks in, I'm going to be a little frightened.
I might think a demon one.
Yes, I might. Yeah.
I'm going to say, somebody get that man a ride back to Double Bridge. But we have certain things that are so off-putting to us, or that just don't seem normal. Teleologically irregular. But just like we might be offended by a particular piercing in a particular area of the body that looks super uncomfortable and weird, and then there's the cat guy. There are certain kinds of, like I say, conditions, however you want to call them, that are just as real to the person experiencing that as anything else in the world is to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I think that we know a whole lot more of what not to do than what to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that we can understand that the thing we cannot do is not love that person as ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's just no other way.
What's funny is a lot of these things we talk about, and you've been saying this for a while now. A lot of the answers to this is really with us. It's be better Christians.
Absolutely. And when we start talking about these taboo issues, almost every time it comes down to exercise discernment and wisdom, and check your motive.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is your intention behind it?
Well, that's what I was going to say on I feel like when you get to these extreme level of body modifications, there's oftentimes, I think you see like abuse, or there's some traumatic events that have led to this. And so that's where, what's the best, the best response you could do is, like you say, love them, be there for them. And look, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Like if the alien guy walks in, I'm not going to want to invite the guy out to go have a beer or have a drink,
But if we're having a potluck supper, I'm going to help him make a plate.
Yeah.
Well, here's the crazy thing though, is like, kids that dye their hair crazy colors.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to be like, oh, I can't believe they do that. But yet, here you are 70 years old. You've been gray-headed for the last 20 years, but no one knows it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, we really do know it. But,
but you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
or just for men, you know, like Logan's rocking his gray. If he wanted to, he could dye. I'm not
I
gray.
put the gray in there. I'm trying to look distinguished.
Yeah. Well, it's going to go good with the lip plate.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So like we can make these exceptions for certain things if it's okay within us.
Yeah.
But I think one point we can draw, especially from some of these articles. Now, we made a lot of fun, and so to Pastor Vlad, we apologize.
Vlad's his name?
Vlad, VLAD. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is a
Taylor?
guy named Vlad that uptight?
Well, you know, I don't know.
I mean, how is Dracula that uptight?
Good point. Now, but
Makes sense.
you know,
Stake through the heart.
Oh, yeah.
Makes
That's
sense.
true.
there you
Yeah.
go. Isn't that body modification?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. That's very true.
But so when you watch this, Vlad, don't neglect to hit the subscribe button just because I made fun of the article.
Yeah. Is Vlad the one wearing skinny jeans?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly,
I do want to know where Sid's tattoo and burger is.
Yes. Yes.
we did.
I'm going there for sure.
And rental car, I think.
Yeah.
So, you know, I went through that whole thing tongue in cheek because, you know, I mean, it was going to be obvious where we land on this issue, you know.
Yeah.
Why was it obvious?
Well, if it wasn't at first, it became obvious, you know. But honestly, it really did work in the exact opposite way as the whole yoga thing. I thought there was nothing yoga. Turns out there's some stuff you might want to be careful with, you know. And then, you know, but I think one point we can make through this whole thing is that oftentimes when something is off-putting to us, we tend to work extra hard to find spiritual or biblical reasons why it's either sinful or that we can really speak out against it.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we wrap, there was something I wanted to ask you kind of about, and all this falls in that category.
Okay.
We talked about Christian liberty, and I was watching, and basically, you know, Christian liberty, like you say, you're free to do everything, but you know, discernment, intention, all these things
And
come in there.
you should not cause anybody to stumble.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so the one thing I thought was weird, I was watching a video on Christian liberty, and he was talking about the 4 pillars of it. And one of them was, it kind of threw me off a little bit because he was saying you should, and he was kind of lumping it in with not causing someone to stumble. But it almost, the way he worded it, it almost would be very disingenuous to the sense, like if you attended, the way I would kind of summarize it, if you attended a church and the church's overall belief was that alcohol is a sin, then you should only drink at home. You shouldn't drink where people can see you drinking. And he was like, that's kind of one of the pillars of this Christian liberty thing, was kind of and I think that's a load of malarkey. Like, what's the difference? Like, to me, you're lying. Like, if you attend this thing, it's like, well, we're against drinking. You don't go out drinking. The only people that know you even have a drink, if they know you have a drink, is the people at your house.
Yeah. I know what they're getting at, but that is extreme in totally the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you sign up to be a member of this church, make sure you be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
And don't
That's
ever
what I'm
show
saying.
your bad side.
Yep.
That's not what we're called to do.
Yeah.
We are called, you know, okay, I got 3 minutes. Okay.
Don't be a fox.
No, we are called to authenticity in community, which creates unity in community. That's the only way you do it. If people start being fake, there's never going to be unity, right?
Yeah, there's no trust.
That's exactly right. And you're always going to be hiding something.
Yeah.
So we're not called to do that. Now, what I will say is, and I this part of it is right. If I unite myself with the body of Christ in this particular area, in this particular community, and if God lifts me up and places me there, and I know in my heart these are my people, and their thing is no alcohol, then
Don't be a stumbling block.
Yeah. I mean, just if that's what God's called you to,
Yeah.
you got to be faithful to that.
Yeah.
And just same. We've had the same argument. We're going to do an episode on this later on, but the whole complementarian, egalitarian argument about why do we always have to argue about the women? What they can do, and can't do in the church. But if you are a part of a complementarian church, which means they don't allow women to occupy positions of leadership, then you don't have to agree with that, but you're going to have to live by it.
Gotcha.
Just like do I agree with every little tiny word in our confession of faith? Now, there's some things that I would say differently. Yeah. I don't disagree with it, but I would say them differently, but I live by it. Yeah. That's because that's what I.
So, like, what you would say is the guy that's at that church, he should abstain from alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that, and that would make more, because it's like, to me, you're being a hypocrite. It's like the joke we joke about. What's the difference between whatever the two in the liquor store? Yeah, and that's that joke exists because that kind of stuff is it's kind of it's
a stereotype for a reason. That's exactly right. So. But in no way can you say Christian liberty is to make sure you hide all your stuff.
Yeah. Right. And that was kind of the way it almost seemed.
Well, that it kind of sounds okay, but when you really think about it, it's not okay. Yeah. Because you're not being who you really are.
Yeah. You cannot lie and be authentic at the same time.
And you know what? Yeah. Honestly, there's another side to that, because one of the reasons why you might be called there is to kind of help get them past a taboo, stumbling block, legalistic thing that doesn't matter as much as they think it does.
Yeah, the dude needs to show up to church with a bottle of bourbon.
There you go.
Is that why you let me be on stage?
Yeah, that's exactly right. No, but it's kind of like I remember some very bold women in my life who really thought that women only wearing dresses in church was silly. And so they would every now and then show up wearing pants and dare somebody to
say something.
Yeah. And in a couple of years' time, like, some new people came and they saw the women wearing pants and assumed it was okay. Yeah. So the men were right. There was a slippery slope there. It just led it right down into apostasy. All the women are wearing, now they're wearing pants, but you might be called to, a person might be called to kind of,
be the change maker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but the answer is not to just go drink at home. Yeah. Or whatever you do, you're not supposed to do. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, because then what happens when somebody comes over? Yep. Unannounced.
Yeah, like when y'all show up in here and it's like, guys, I don't drink, and then you walk in, you're like, what is this? That's a decoration.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of like Cracker Barrel. It's like we put it on the walls.
Yeah, it's just for decor.
Exactly.
It's tea.
It's tea. Yes, that is sweet tea.
Yeah, we're gonna spill the tea. So anyway, bottom line, we got to get to the bottom line. Tattoos, piercings, body modification, all that stuff. Where are you at?
I'll tell you, on all of it, I would say there's what is the word I'm thinking for? Exception when it gets to the extreme body modification. Yeah, I take exception there, especially when it gets to, I'll be honest, like the gender modification, because to me that's, I don't know, I kind of draw the line there. You get to piercings, tattoos, the weird lip plate thing.
You don't want a nose plug?
I don't want a nose plug. Right. But at the end of the day, do I think that's sending you to hell? I don't. And do I think gender modification or something's going to send you to hell? I'm not going to say that's going to send you to hell, but I think you need to search your heart.
I'm pretty sure that Jesus said we weren't allowed to send anybody to hell.
Yes, that's right.
I'm pretty sure that's what he said. And honestly, okay, what about you, Pat?
I think it's all evil. No. Obviously, I have tattoos, many of them, and piercings, and I'm okay with them. Yeah. But I'm a caveat myself, though. Okay. Is every decision I've made is permanent. Yeah. And so how far are you willing to go to make a permanent change? Yeah. I have drawings on me, essentially. Mm-hmm. If I change my bone structure or something like that, I can't undo that. Yeah. Right. Just like I can't undo this. So how far are you willing to commit to a permanent decision? Yeah. Yeah. That's where I'd stand with it.
I think it's good. So from a spiritual and theological standpoint.
No, go for it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think motive and intent plays some
absolutely, absolutely. But the act of itself, go for it.
Yeah, I that's one of the points that I can go along with them if if you're a young person and you're under your parents' roof and your parents have absolutely forbid you to do it and you do it just because they said not to,
then it's a sin.
Yeah.
But it's not a sin of tattooing.
Yeah.
It's a sin of rebellion.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. And this is kind of where I am on all this stuff, you know, and I'm having to disciple myself because it's so easy for me to walk through this world. And, you know, I used to love saying, I like to people watch. Actually, I like to kind of people judge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like, what a terrible parking job, you know? And then you walk in, it's like, why did you wear that?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that is super sharp. And, you know, but, you know, it's kind of like that soundtrack playing on a regular basis.
Yeah. Yep.
And I have to confess that there are times when things are off-putting or offensive to me, and I make a spiritual judgment on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just do. And
For sure.
And that's not for me to judge.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to some of the more severe, extreme things, honestly, it bothers me a lot deeper because I really feel like to go to that extreme reveals that
there's something broken in there.
There's something, and it may not be through the person's own fault.
Yeah.
It may be through experience. It may be through, you know, we know that DNA and stuff like that gets messed up all the time.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we can't just make snap judgments on people who are living really sometimes a hellish life.
Yeah.
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 Nobody doesn't want to be normal, you know?
Yeah.
And so if you find yourself in a minority category with some of this stuff, then, and you're dealing with this every single day, you know, I met a person in a small church. It was in Gibson County. And, this person was introduced to me, and, there's an older woman that was this person's caregiver. I said, this person's going through a really, really tough time right now. And do you think you deal with young people? You work with them all the time. You think you could have a conversation? I said, absolutely. And I sat down with this person. We exchanged information.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened after that because we conversed a couple of times and then went off to college or something like that. But that person really shared some very, very deep struggles. I mean, just going through some life situations that were just, you know, staying with the grandmother because the parents wouldn't, you know, kick them out, and just my heart was breaking. And so wherever it comes from and whatever it is, if they're making themselves into cats and stuff like that, you know, I just feel super compassionate. Like, I just wish I could just, you know, change it all, snap my fingers and change it all. But I think that we have to, those things that are off-putting, we have to look through more compassionate eyes.
Yeah. Well, and those are, I definitely there. And because the hard part for me is it's like, man, you know, you make these, I mean, some of the things, like you said, Pat, these are major things that are permanent. Like, like, you know, you might be in a place right now where you're very broken or, you know, very lost, confused, and hurt. And, man, the thing that I feel like, man, let's say you get healed, you get help, and then it's 10 years from now and you have absolutely wrecked yourself. Like, and there's no going back.
And I will also say this too, especially being in the church world, most of my complaints or side eyes for my tattoos have come from 40 or 50-year-olds. Yeah. The 60-year-olds and older, they don't care. Yeah. And they're actually curious. They ask me questions about it. They want to talk about it. They're very accepting.
Well, they got the eagle that's turned into a vulture on their back.
Well, in my experience, and you know how you said you people watch, you know, you people judge. In my experience, it's very much the prim and proper people who think it's a sin, right? But they don't want to talk about anything other than my body mutilation. Yeah. You know, and it's crazy. But then you got like these sweet old ladies who are like, oh my goodness. Miss Julie, she talks about her brother, all the time. And, you know, she's like, oh, he would love you, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and think about this too. This is my last point. Talking about piercings and body modifications, stuff like that. So somebody could just very easily say, no, that's a sin, that's evil, and then go get their Botox injection.
Yeah.
Or go schedule the meeting with their plastic surgeon, you know? What are you doing? You're modifying your body. You're chopping off your nose.
It just is more attractive.
Doing that tummy tuck. It gives you more confidence.
Here you go. Even getting your hair cut is a body modification.
Well, it is.
Well,
it
that guy said you should not trim your beard.
That's it.
Listen up, fellas.
Yeah.
I've been slacking there.
That's exactly right. And we could go into why, especially the priests, were not to mess with their beard or their hair. It was actually meant to be a life force, because hair grows. It's alive. It's part of life, and so they were not to mess with it.
We all know what happened to Samson.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly right. So, anyway, so you know what to do. Act on that.
Subscribe, thumbs up, smash the thumbs
and
up.
comment below. Let us know if you agree or disagree.
Come on, we need some comments on this, because it's going to be tough. And young people, don't be racing out to Sid's tattoo shop and burger shop and car rental shop.
I'm driving.
If your parents said no, then
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. All right, guys. Thank you. And like I said, do all the things. We'll catch you next week.
Absolutely. See you
later, guys.